I want people to understand that the 60 or whatever 50,000 IRS agents, they're not for the elite. They don't need that many people to regulate less than 1% of the world's wealth. Or the wealthy people. I mean, that's for us, and that's what we need to do. Every time you buy another ounce of silver, every time you buy an ounce of gold, and you take it off the market like it's being robbed out of the COMEX right now, trust me, that's us getting them back. This is a war. I want people to understand this, and I believe that everyone watching this is ready for that, and that's getting out of debt and going and taking God's money and putting it in their own possession.
Welcome back to Wall Street Silver. I'd like to welcome my guest today, Ninja, Economic Ninja. Thanks for joining us.
I like to think of myself as the Billy Idol of crypto right now, because I think that's what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, we're definitely, we're going to get off topic. We're not going to be talking silver and gold. We're going to be talking about all the crazy stuff that's been going on in the crypto markets.
Yes.
And, we like to say, if you don't hold it, you don't truly own it. And that's been made extremely clear lately with the whole FTX scandal that's going on out there. You're more of a crypto guy than I am. That's why I wanted to get you on talking about this. Give us some background on this. What is FTX? I mean, we all know what FTX was. It's an exchange, but why was this thing such a disaster? I mean, the Sam Bankman-Fried, he was such a savior 6 months ago trying to bail out all these other exchanges. And now all of a sudden he's the center of a huge scam.
Well, first off, I want to explain something. Now, first off, well, two things. All this jewelry right here is the way that I hold my cryptocurrency in cold storage. Okay. That is the number one thing that I tell people: do not trust exchanges. And I actually called this crash back in January. And it wasn't that I knew the FTX was going to crash, but the reason why you use the word savior, he was a savior due to advertising and tons of advertising dollars going into making him look good. And really what you have is a Ponzi scheme based off of a stable token, for lack of better terms. I want to bring this down to the lowest level to explain to people that don't understand crypto, this FTX token that fell apart. And then you found out very fast that the emperor has no clothes. But really what you're about to see, which is going to be very exciting to me, is the money laundering that was involved with moving money to Ukraine and then back to actually literally governmental parties here in America. So you're going to find out some very interesting, great stuff. And these are one of those truth revealed portions of the time frame that we're in right now. There's a lot of truth coming out. But what blows me away is this actually happens about every year or two in the crypto space. An exchange goes down or an exchange gets hacked, and then there's a big panic. But people like myself that are storing the equipment, the crypto properly, and when I say crypto, I only like decentralized blockchains that I can actually pull off of an exchange. A lot of the times, a lot of these exchanges are so horrible, like Coinbase, you'll put your money in and it takes like 3 days for them, once you buy your Bitcoin, to pull it off. And the reason why is because they do not own the Bitcoin. They are selling you a derivative and they are trying to get you to keep it on there. On top of that, FTX put literally billions of dollars into advertising with YouTubers. They hit me up. I never wanted to pump out or talk about or use a cryptocurrency exchange as a way to make money, because what they do is they try and get the people that are making money from this on YouTube or other social media platforms. They put it in a way to where you want to encourage the people to buy the crypto on their exchange and then keep it on their exchange. And the way they do that is they promise you these massively stupid interest rates per year to do what's called staking. And what that allows them to do, just like JP Morgan and gold a long time ago, is to loan against people's money. So this time it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies. It could be dog poop coin for all you know. I mean, there are some stupid currencies out there. But my point being, just like JP Morgan did, where his dad didn't like it, didn't want to do it. But when he died, he started loaning out against the gold that was sitting there. And this is exactly what's happening. And they're promising you stupid interest rates.
Yeah, I want to go back to a lot of these social media guys who were promoting this thing, and Anthony Pompliano was one of the biggest social media, let's call them YouTubers, or he's got 1.6 million followers on Twitter. And, now he's trying to pretend like he wasn't really involved, or he's all indignant. But this is one of the guys who was pumping this thing more than anyone. He was pumping the app, he was pumping the rewards program, he was pumping BlockFi. These guys, social media was used to promote this thing. And it's, these guys need, at some point, I feel like we just need to call these things out. These guys who were behind all this.
You have Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin as well.
What's that?
Made Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin. There's lots of guys that got massive, huge, and where they really exploded was during the shutdown, where everybody was looking where to put their government stimulus money. So their channels were exploding due to the government stimulus checks, right? You and I didn't have channels back then, but what they did is they got sponsorships from these companies, primarily FTX, BlockFi. And there's going to be some more that come out here pretty soon. I don't want to talk about it now, but they are on shaky ground. Well, no, Salt Lending, I believe, is one that I wouldn't be having my money in Salt Lending. But they made literally millions, and some of them made tens of millions of dollars. And there's no recourse. And the thing is that's why it's very important as a social media influencer or provider of information, be very extremely careful when it comes to who you represent. And so, like you've said many times before, Jim, and everyone in Wall Street Silver talks about it, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Now, when it comes to silver, I have physical, I also vault, but I have to do my due diligence on that. And it's very important when I come out with something, I say, look, I use this, I've done everything I can, and I have the same skin in the game. The question is, these guys like Pomp, did they have a lot of money in FTX? Now, if they had big money in there and they lost it as well, then there's nothing wrong. They did their best, right? We only try and do our best. But there are going to be people that you see that had no money in that, and they were paid tens of millions of dollars to pump it. That's where it gets really dicey, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in the future.
Yeah, guys like Raul Pal from Real Vision. I mean, he's been pumping every crypto scam out there. He's a paid for hire for credibility for his podcast. You have all the stuff he was talking about with Terra Luna. It's risk free, 20%, blah blah blah, and then boom, it freaking goes to zero.
So let me throw this out there. So I lost money in Terra Luna, but the only reason I bought Terra Luna is I bought it during the crash. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to try and grab a dead cat bounce. I didn't tell anyone on my channel I did it because it's extremely risky. And I lost, right? I've never won 100% of the time. Let me say this, though, about, because I don't know any of these guys personally. Let me say something about Raul Paul. He has been talking primarily about Bitcoin, and I don't believe Bitcoin is a scam. If people know the code and have read the code and understand that you can't just mint Bitcoin and make them out of thin air, that it actually takes work, computer work to actually go and get that out of there, then you understand. People confuse Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin SV as just making up crypto, but in the code it actually says if you want to fork it, you want to split this. When you do and you have your version of the code, you have to actually give everybody that had a Bitcoin one of whatever you made. So it's absolutely perfectly fair. The problem is, and this is where it pulls back to Wall Street Silver, is the evil dirtiness of the derivatives and what the banks are doing. And that's what it is. They got their claws in, and what they did is they deceived people, literally like a magician would deceive people with these high interest rates. And if you keep your money in there, it's a Ponzi scheme, and they fall.
Are you talking about the yield farming thing?
Exactly. And so what they do is they try and get you to keep your currency on there so they become more liquid. The problem is the second people find out, like FTX had a problem, they started to pull money, liquidity event. And what's scary is what people don't say, and I've been calling this on my channel, you're about to experience a liquidity event in the banks in the next 90 days. And the reason why I know that is for certain is this, because the banks were all tied in with this crypto. They just took massive losses, and you're about to see that on their books. And the only way they can hide it, I can guarantee you this, the only way they can hide it is the Fed opens up the repo window and starts purchasing certain assets, just crap assets, and puts them on their books. That's the only way they're going to hide it. If the Fed repo window opens up and starts really increasing, you're going to see people like me and Jim screaming to high heaven going, they're covering something up, and I can almost guarantee you it's this crypto disaster. And if they don't open it up and the banks start to show this in their quarterly earnings, then what's going to happen by the end of Q1 2023, you're going to see that banking issue translate to a stock correction. And that's where it's going to get really interesting. I've been calling this since January, like I said, and I think it's going to get a lot uglier in the next 3 months.
I'm not going to pretend to know everything about crypto because I am not a crypto guy. I am not a
Yeah, I don't
Bitcoin
either.
guy. But there's also this thing going on where, remember the hack? And this is a quick update. Remember the night that FTX went bankrupt? Um, there was a hack where nothing should have happened, but all of a sudden, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto tokens were drained from FTX. And now, just today, I'm seeing um, that they're tracking this hacker in real time across the blockchain. Like he's buying, I guess he stole a bunch of Ethereum and he's using it to buy Bitcoin. And I mean, I don't know. It seems like they're all over this. Is there a way for this guy to somehow use Tornado or something, one of those things, to try to cover his tracks and get away with
Yeah.
it?
So DeFi is getting much better. The problem is, as DeFi gets better, the traceability of this gets even cleaner, and that's what they want to do with the CBDC. Total trackability of everything you do, including what you do with these cryptos. And Gurgavin, the reason why he's got hacker in quotes is because a lot of people believe this is an inside job, that this
Yeah.
is somebody in FTX. So that's why hackers in quotes. The FTX is not innocent. I can guarantee you there's going to be people inside that it's going to come out that they knew about this ahead of time. So no, I believe that DeFi is getting pretty good to where you can hide your tracks. But the problem is I think that literally it is about to be uncovered that there are governmental bodies that knew about this because of money that was going into Ukraine and then getting funneling back. I'm telling you right now, people are going to start to see the truth. It's probably going to take a while and it's going to take some more kicking and screaming, but this is actually a great thing for crypto and for truthers when it comes to the money movement, because you're about to see every time something like this goes down, what did we instantly see? Pictures of Sam Blankspine with certain specific politicians. And I'll just tell you this, they all have one thing in common. If you know what I'm talking about, these photos are very impressive and people are just waking up to this.
It's
Oh, there you go. That's a perfect question. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's where was the part? You got to ask yourself, when Bernie Madoff, when all that came to light, way back, what was it now, over 10 years ago?
Yep.
What, 2008, 2009? The guy was arrested within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And here we are over a week. I think we're going on 10 days now, 11 days since everyone became aware that FTX was basically a Ponzi scheme where he was just inventing tokens, putting them on his balance sheet, and then borrowing against them and getting, he was using the invented Serum, SERUM, and the FTT tokens were his two main tokens. He's got them on his balance sheet, listed at billions of dollars worth of assets, and then he uses that for credibility to go out and borrow more against it. Or he's doing all these yield farming schemes.
Yeah.
He basically admitted he's doing Ponzi schemes on multiple videos in the past 6 months. Where was the Department of Justice? Why are they not? Why are they not shutting this guy down and having
I
him
can
arrested?
tell you exactly why. I sorry to interrupt you, but I get so fired up. It's all about that flag he's holding up. You see, I remember reading about why, or that the fact was the Democratic National Convention had their servers sitting in Ukraine. And you'd have to ask yourself, why would anybody do that? Oh, it's because you could hide stuff over there and you'd have to cause an act of war, declare an act of war to go get it. And people are so blind to the fact that there is a lot of information and blackmail sitting on those servers. And that's why he's still out, is because honestly, and this is just my opinion, but you're going to see the facts that he's got a lot of info, and all these photos of him and who he supports and who he's donated to tells the tale of why the Justice Department's not out there running out and grabbing him, because he'd probably end up in a cell and something would happen to himself, like what happened with the last guy that everybody's freaking out about. That,
I mean, people have been for far less in this world than what this guy's done. I'm amazed he's not sleeping with the fishes already. But maybe he's got, I don't know, he's got the right connections, or he's bought enough support. You look at the headlines from the media, and you're seeing headlines like, "Oh, this guy, it's too bad he won't be able to continue with his donations to stop the next pandemic," or they're like sad because he's no longer going to be donating to these things.
Yeah, but we don't even know. Those are probably paid
they're
ads
not
too.
calling out the fraud that's involved here.
No, they're trying to spin a negative into a positive.
Mhm.
That's the thing. They're like, oh, it's a bummer because look at all the good things he did. You're like, oh, wait a minute, where'd that money go and what was it actually used for? So that's the thing. We're uncovering fraud at so many levels, and there's so many great people on the internet that are. The sad thing is you and I and Ivan are only as good as the information we put out, right? And we have to be held. We're held accountable to that stuff. We talk about investments, we talk about all kinds of stuff, and we try and bring the truth, but at the same time, that truth gets smashed. And that's the sad thing that's going on. Do I still believe in crypto? Yes. Do I believe that Bitcoin is being worth a ton more than it is today in the future? Yes. But I also believe it's going to crash again. And I believe it's going to take the stock market down with it. And I'm going to guarantee you this. They're going to use that as the excuse because it's not going to be all because of Bitcoin going down in price, but they're going to want to find the bad guy in the room. And they're going to point at crypto, even though the stock market has way more derivatives than Bitcoin does.
Well, if there is regulation, I don't think there's going to be any bailouts for crypto people. So don't get crypto people don't get There's not going to be any bailouts for exchanges. There is probably going to be regulation coming. And I guarantee you, if they do start passing some sort of bill to regulate exchanges in the crypto universe, then they're also in that same legislation, they're going to provide the authorization for the Fed and the US Treasury to do a central bank digital currency, because I think Jerome Powell's already said they can't do it on their own. They need Congress to give them authorization. So some bill does need to get through Congress, and this might be the vehicle or the crisis that enables them to get the CBDC into federal law and get approved.
Fed minutes around 2015 were showing that they needed to use it. It would have to come in during a crisis. That's the only way the American public would take it. We already have fednow.gov showing that it's being pushed out in July of next year. And we already have an executive order from the president that ball starts rolling. I want to say it's mid-December this year. So yes, there's going to be a crisis. There has to be an authorization. There always has to be an authorization, just like the Federal Reserve needed an authorization to exist back in the early 1900s. And so that is coming. And yes, it is the way for them to do that. It's like that gap that they need to fill to be able to regulate and do all kinds of things. But the scary thing is they're going to use this whole, we're going to help regulate crypto and all these bad people are going to go away. No, the bad people are the people watching this video that are buying gold and silver. I want people to understand that. The 60 or whatever 50,000 IRS agents, they're not for the elite. They don't need that many people to regulate less than 1% of the world's wealth. They don't, or the wealthy people, I mean. That's for us. And that's what we need to do. Every time you buy another ounce of silver, every time you buy an ounce of gold, and you take it off the market like it's being robbed out of the COMEX right now, trust me, that's us getting them back. This is a war. I want people to understand this. And I believe that everyone watching this is ready for that. And that's getting out of debt and going and taking God's money and putting it in their own possession.
On that note, Ninja, thank you very much. And we'll talk to you next time, man.
Thanks, man.
Ninja is out.
Out.